Welcome back to the Counterfeit Emotions podcast. I am so excited that you are joining us on this journey. And today we're going to talk a lot about journeys. I've got a Guinness Book of World Record holder in studio with me, and she is amazing. We're going to talk about how she climbed the 7-second summits on every continent and the experiences behind that. We're also going to talk about the emotions behind that because every adventure, every journey, every life is based in emotion. So, Jenn, welcome to the podcast.
Oh, thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, I'm so excited to have you here. And let's just dive in. You are a Guinness Book World Record holder, the only woman, right?
Yeah.
The only one
Yeah.
that's ever climbed the 7-second summits.
Yep. Yeah.
Ever.
Ever.
And just so people get an idea of what that means, like people think, oh, why isn't it the first summits and that's not as hard? Oh no, this is crazy. You climbed K2,
Yes.
the
Yes.
second highest mountain in the world.
Yes.
This is not because Everest is at 29,029 feet.
Yep.
K2 is at just under 29,000, right? It's
Right. There's like an
28,000.
800-foot difference or
Yeah,
something. So nothing
800
big.
feet.
But the funny thing is when people think second, they think second place.
Uh-huh.
And they don't realize in mountaineering a lot, like seconds can be more technical. The terrain can be steeper.
yeah.
Just because it's not as tall doesn't mean it's not harder.
Well, we talked last week,
Yeah.
and you said you trained for K2 on Everest.
Yeah. Yeah.
You went to Everest to train for K2. Like,
Right.
that's how hard it is. That's how technical it is.
Yeah.
And talk about that experience. Like, I don't think people really understand how hard K2 is. Like,
Yeah. So, like, the biggest difference between K2 and Everest is Everest, I like to say, is this big, happy, beautiful giant, right? Like your grandma has that kind of
Okay.
energy, right?
Okay.
And while it's the tallest mountain in the world, you're walking it on 2 feet,
Mhm.
like 99% of the time. And you can
It's-
put tents all over the place because there's just spots to put tents.
It's a hike.
It's a hike.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. And when you do K2, when you drew a mountain in kindergarten and you drew like a triangle and you said that's a mountain, that's K2. Okay.
It's like this.
It's
yeah.
like that. Like it's way steeper. There's actually only certain spots that you can put tents because otherwise you're like on a portaledge instead of on a tent ground.
And for the listeners that don't know what a portaledge is, we're talking about you're hanging off the mountain, off a cliff, in a suspended, almost like a straight hammock.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah,
You're like a
and-
hammock tent instead of a tent that you can like secure to the ground. So K2 just doesn't have a lot of places to put tents because it's so steep. It's way rockier. And you have to climb over rocks. And what makes that dangerous is because the ropes are running over those rocks as well. And so then ropes rubbing against rocks will cut the ropes. And so all of a sudden you thought a rope was safe and it's not because it's been pulled on so many times that it shredded it. There's actual climbing sections on K2. So there's like 100
rock climbing.
Mhm. Yep. So you have
And
this
and
chimney.
you're doing that with crampons, right?
Crampons and full on 8,000 meter suits. And like, I mean, you feel
you've
like the
got
Michelin
gear.
man trying to climb up these things. And so it is like big enough where you can wear gloves to get through the area, but you're buying gloves that give you heat and dexterity. Right? Like it's just different entirely. And like K2 is kind of like climbing a mountain while playing Frogger because it drops so many
Gotta
rocks
tell
all
me
the
more about
time.
that. Oh, the rocks are coming.
Yeah,
You
the
gotta
rocks come down. So all of a sudden you'll be
bounce back and
climbing and you
forth.
hear the like zoom. And you're like, what was that? And you're like, oh, that's a rock that fell from way up high and it's gaining momentum as it goes down. And so you're always climbing with your head like tucked into the mountain because if a rock comes, you don't want it to hit your face. And I mean, I went
You
through
wanted to
2
hit the
helmets.
helmet or no way.
Yeah.
You went through 2 helmets
Right.
on K2.
On K2 because the rock would hit the helmet and then you're like, okay, well now it's not safe. It's been broken. So now I have to wear a new helmet.
No way.
Yeah.
This is crazy.
It's crazy.
This is crazy. So you're climbing up this triangle mountain with full gear, rock climbing. Rocks are coming down off of the top of the mountain, hitting you in the head. Like, that's not something someone does every day.
No,
Like,
and I don't recommend it actually either. So the odds are not in your favor.
well, I looked up the mortality rate years ago because I always had a dream of climbing Everest,
Mhm.
and I looked up the mortality rates. It's probably different now, but at the time it was 30% mortality rate. I don't know if you know
Okay.
more updated stats on that, but isn't K2 higher mortality
Yeah,
rate?
so right now, I think, and I say think because stats are always changing,
Yeah.
but I think the mortality rate on Everest right now is 4 to 6%.
Oh, so it's come down
It's
way
come
down.
down quite a bit. And then the
Okay.
mortality rate on K2 is about 25%. So 1 in 4. Yeah,
Wow.
I know.
Wow. Okay. So I've got to point out the obvious. If someone were to meet you on the street,
Mhm.
they wouldn't think granola mountain climber, outdoors. They would think professional or sports enthusiast or something like that.
Right.
Like you don't look like you've just climbed the second summits in the world. Like where did this all start? I know
Yeah.
you shared this story about wanting to do this for your kids, but tell us the
Right.
beginning.
So I think like if we go back on our like lives, there's been these little pivotal moments that give us this chance to go left or right, and whatever we decide is what puts us on this path. And so in 2015, I moved to Utah uh,
From
from Michigan,
Okay.
and I took my kids out here in 2014 for a ski trip. They had the best time, and my son was the happiest I'd ever seen him. And
Mm,
once you see that, you can't unsee it, and you're trying to figure out how do I replicate that. And so I'm like, okay, we're gonna move. So we moved. We didn't know anybody, but when you have 7 children in a community, you infiltrate it really, really fast, right?
you have 7
I
kids.
have 7 kids.
That's awesome.
So I was like, when I kind of teased because I moved in January, and the hidden value of moving to a town in the middle of the year is you can't coach soccer because it's already been taken. You can't be the classroom mom. It's already been taken, right? So all of a sudden I show up in this town. I'm like, all the things I filled my time with, I can't do. And I had free time, which was
Okay.
fun because I got to experience me again. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this is like life is so much fun. Of course, by that fall, which is only, 7 months, 8 months, 9 months later, I'm involved in everything again. I'm coaching soccer, I'm running classrooms, I'm volunteering on committees. And I just kept telling myself, like, someday I'm going to get back to me. Like,
Hmm.
someday I'll be able to work on my dreams. Again, that's just not the season. But we all know, like, someday is not a day of the week, it does not
Yeah.
exist.
Yeah.
And so I believe the universe gave me a car accident. And that car accident, I shouldn't have survived, but I did. And it was a big enough wake up call for me to realize if I don't start doing my dreams now, I might never get a chance to.
Hmm.
And at that point, I didn't even know who I was anymore because I was so lost in being a mother and the roles that has, that I remember like making the things I want to do before I die list. Right.
Okay.
And I had stuff like swim with whale sharks and taste gelato in Italy. And somewhere on that list was climb a mountain.
And you didn't specify which.
I didn't specify
You just
which.
said climb a mountain.
And climb a mountain. I think like
Okay.
most people would be like, oh, climb a mountain, go hike the one in your backyard that has a trail, and like visit
You
Starbucks
live in
afterwards to
Utah.
celebrate. Right,
Yeah.
right. There's lots of mountains around here.
Yeah.
But I believe God has a sense of humor. And so when I asked friends like, hey, what mountain should I climb? Someone said Ama de Blanc, which to me at the time sounded like a yoga pose, but it's not. It's some 22,000-foot peak in Nepal. And I remember telling my kids, like, I think I'm going to go climb this mountain named Ama de Blanc. And they heard it as I'm a dumb blonde. Right. And they're like, well, if you're going to climb a mountain, you should climb Everest. And
Oh,
everything
that's
in
so
me
funny.
was like, I'm not climbing Everest. I'm having a midlife crisis. Like, I don't have a death wish. Right.
Yeah.
And to be honest, like you said earlier, I identify with the Four Seasons Hotel more than I identify with the Four Seasons tent.
well,
Okay.
well, last week you told me you had never been camping. You'd never
Right.
been tent camping before
Right.
this.
Right. 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 So like, but there was something in me that said, like, what if? And
Hmm.
so when he said you should climb it, I'm like, my mouth said yes, and my brain in the back of my head was saying, anxiety attack happening right now. Girl, you better not write checks you can't cash. What are you doing? And I was just like, I don't know why this is yes, but it's a yes.
Hmm.
And so when the coach said climb the 7-second summits, I knew it was more than the mountains, and I had to do it to just show my kids that this isn't a practice run. Like, this is it. And you have to do things you believe you can't do. And the only way they're going to know to do that is if I demonstrate it.
Mm, I
So,
love
yeah,
that.
it was crazy.
Life is not a practice run.
It is not a practice
We
run.
we don't get to go back and do any do-overs.
No,
This is it.
this is it.
And it's time to step into your courage, into your potential, into your true self.
Yeah, right? And just like figure it out as you go and learn the things. And, it's like all of us, we have these goals that we set and they're really romantic on paper, right? Like, and then
They look so good.
they look so
Pen
good.
and ink.
Like
Yeah.
I remember that I was going to be a pilot and I literally was listening to that song like Aruba, Jamaica, ooh, I'm going to take you, right?
Uh-huh.
And then you start flying and the entire time you're in the airplane, you're just looking for where you're going to land it so that you don't die if an engine goes out. And I'm like, this was not what I envisioned this would be. Like, this is crazy. And so I tease because this 7-second summit journey, like I envisioned what it was going to be. It was not that.
What did you picture it as?
I don't know. Like I thought it was going to be, I mean, I knew there'd be some struggle, but I didn't realize like all of it that went into it. And so here I say yes. And I mean, I got giardia, which is like a nice way of saying there's poop in your water, right?
Mm.
Like things. I had to learn how to use an ice saw to cut out ice bricks so that I can make an igloo so that my tent wouldn't rip in the wind. I'm like, what? Like this is a thing? Like just these things that you don't even know are things, and so you start doing the thing.
Yeah.
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 It was crazy.
That's amazing. So you went from the I'm a dumb blonde mountain
Yeah.
in Nepal
Yes.
to saying I'm going to do Everest, and then from there you're like, well, why not every continent?
Yeah, kind of. So what happened was I was going to do Everest, which means I needed to call a coach.
Mm-hmm.
And so I called this coach, and this coach was like, yes, I can get you ready. Buy this book about becoming an uphill athlete. So I bought the book, and in the front of the book was a story of a lady who got a Guinness World Record. And any parent who's listening knows like the only book they can get their kids to read from cover to cover is Guinness World Records. And I just remember telling my coach, I'm like, if I got a Guinness World Record, I might be a cool mom. And I was kind of venting, and he was like, took it as a challenge. So like, okay, well, let me think of something. So he calls me back. He's like, Jen, I have the perfect world record for you. I'm like, oh, okay. Kind of forgetting. He's like,
who does that? Hey, I've got the perfect world record for you.
That's a call everybody receives, of course. And so I take this call. I'm like, oh, okay. He's like, I think you should be the first woman to climb the 7-second summits. Like, I don't even know what those are.
Yeah.
He's like, well, it's the 7 continents, 7 mountains. You have 7 children. It's a jackpot. I'm like, again, I don't know what they are, but it does sound like a jackpot. It feels like a jackpot, but nothing rational is telling me I'm okay to do this.
Yeah.
But I do believe we're here to do hard things, and that's where we discover what we're made of.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I haven't climbed all the second summits or even the first summits, but I have climbed one.
Yeah, Kelly, right?
Yeah, I climbed Kilimanjaro. And I love what you said, because when I was on that mountain, and Kilimanjaro is just under 20,000 feet. So
Yeah.
it's nowhere near 29,000.
Yeah, but
still, yeah. And to put it in perspective, like for our listeners, there's nowhere in the continental United States that you can put your feet that's above 15,000 feet. You can't even reach 15,000 feet
right
in the continental United States. You have to go to Alaska or other places. And so like the elevation at 20,000 feet is the same elevation as the plane I took to get to Africa. That's where we were flying at, was 20,000 feet. And when I was on that mountain, I left everything behind. There was nothing but me and God on that mountain.
Yep.
And it was a place to truly prove myself.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
yeah.
I had no idea what the altitude would do, the oxygen deprivation, just the strain of 44 miles round trip, right?
Right.
And being in that place gave me such a different perspective. Like people, the saying with Kilimanjaro, and I'm sure many mountains are this way, but is that you can't go up without coming down changed.
Yeah, it's not possible. I don't think it's possible.
And so when you think back on all of these mountains, and let's actually go through the list.
Okay.
I've got the list right here. So you did K2. That
Yep.
was the Asian continent.
Yep.
In South America, you're gonna have to pronounce it for me. Hoyos
Yes. So in South
del
America, and I can go
Salado.
through them because it's easy for me to state them, but is the Ojos del Salado,
Okay.
which is a volcano located in the Atacama Desert of Chile.
Oh wow.
Which again sounds like super romantic and awesome and all the things until you get there and you realize that a volcano in the desert means there's nothing that holds heat in at night, right? Like you're just this
Mm,
big flat plane. And so when the sun comes out, it starts moving the air. And so then the entire day from about 10 a.m. to 10 p.m., you feel like you're climbing in a wind tunnel.
just like a sandblaster.
I mean, it just
Just
blows. It just because the heat is moving so much of everything, and so the entire day you're like, and I had no idea wind could be a form of punishment, but it is a form of punishment. Like you mentally have to scream. Like I literally had to scream to hear myself think. I mean, it was crazy.
Oh yeah. Well, here's something you're gonna think I'm totally silly, but I took a guitar to the
Yeah.
top of Kilimanjaro,
Okay.
and I I had one of my porters film me as I'm sitting right below the song or the sign, singing a song, and the entire audio is just wind. That's
Yes.
all you hear is nothing but wind. Couldn't hear me at all. The
Yeah.
wind's going like 30 to 50 miles an hour on top.
Yeah.
And so yeah,
Yeah.
it's like at times it'll even tip you over.
Oh, no, you're
It's
leaning into it for sure.
yeah.
Yeah, so I just remember being like, I called my coach when I got back from that climb. I was like, "Is there any more volcanoes on this thing?" And he's like, "No." I'm like, "Thank goodness I'm not a volcano climber. I don't like them." Because like another thing with a volcano is you have like this scree. So you take a step
Oh
up
yeah.
and then you slide half a step down. You take a step up, you slide half. And if you get mad, you only slide further down because you're like
Oh,
putting
yeah,
so much
yeah.
weight into the step. I just remember being like, volcanoes and I are not friends for that reason. But then after Ojos, I went to Mount Kenya
Okay.
and climbed
And
Mount
that's
Kenya, which is the
that's
second highest point in Africa.
Africa.
And the interesting thing about that one, like Kilimanjaro is a walk.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Mount
it's a
Kenya,
hike.
you're in climbing shoes and a harness because it's a 20 pitch rock climb.
No joke.
Yeah. And then
20 pitch.
at the
What-
top,
had
you
you
have
ro-
to ice climb and all that stuff.
Had you rock climbed
No,
before
I had
this?
to learn how to rock climb.
You'd never rock climbed.
I never, no, but I knew I was going.
And you're doing a 20 pitch.
Oh yeah, no, like of
Climb.
course, yes,
Of
exactly,
course.
exactly.
Why not?
I'm like, why would the universe throw this at me? And so I remember going down to Vegas to train because you climb Mount Kenya in February, and so I'm like, oh, I need to go to Vegas and train because I can climb there in the winter.
Okay.
And so I went down to Vegas and I started getting on the wall and I started going white and sweating and shaking and freaking out. And I looked down at my coach and he's gave me the finger to come back down. So I come back down. I'm like, what just happened? He's like, I think you have a fear of heights. I'm like, I can't have a fear of heights. I have to like climb this thing. He's like, you have a fear of heights. And so I'm like, well, what do we do? And he goes, well, when you get up there and you feel that fear, I need you to go one handhold higher. I'm like, okay. And then he goes, then you can come all the way back down. So I'd go
Wow.
one handhold higher. I'm come all the way back down. I get a drink. I'd take a snack. I'd go all the way on the wall again, try to get one handhold higher. And it was just one of those things where you had to learn how to move with the fear.
Mm,
And it was crazy.
wow.
Yeah.
And that actually reminds me of your LinkedIn post.
Right.
And if you're not following Jen, go follow Jen on LinkedIn. Her posts are amazing. And this particular post, you talk about a 2,000-foot drop. I think you're on
Yes.
Everest.
I'm on Everest on this one on an ice ladder.
And there's an ice ladder spanning a chasm
Yes.
2,000 feet down. And you said some of the most profound things about fear.
Such a thing.
I love this, and I'll pull it up, but tell us about that experience while I'm pulling it up.
Yeah, no, okay. So I trained for this because I knew it was going to show up.
Was this at base camp of Everest?
So the
Or-
crazy thing about Everest is that the most difficult section is the Khumbu Icefall, which is between base camp and Camp 1. So it's at the beginning.
Okay.
Okay. And what happens is like there's these huge crevasses that you have to put ladders on to cross them. And they told us like you were going to have ladders. I'm like, okay. So I put a ladder across a friend's swimming pool and tried to practice, right?
Okay.
And I was like, okay, I got
Mm.
this. Like, I'm good. Well, then you go to Everest and again, you climb this ladder. Well, guess what? They're not OSHA approved.
Hmm.
Okay. You stand on one side, the other side goes up in the air. You stand on them and they have so much slack in them. So you start, it's
And
like a
bend.
suspension bridge that you're walking across. And then you have these little like ropes that feel like kite strings that you're trying to hold on to give you a little bit of balance. And when you're walking across it, your crampons, which I did not train in crampons on it at home, are
Hmm.
like scratching the metal. So it's like fingernails going against chalkboards, but even worse. And so the like every sense is at its highest. And you're sitting there thinking, like, why? Like, what am I doing? What's wrong with me?
Hmm.
I mean, it's crazy.
Wow. Yeah. In your post, you said you were actually upset because you were thinking the whole time. The headline of the article would read "Mother dies in fall, children are orphaned,"
Yes.
and you were upset at the fear. You were upset at your brain. You say that the very panic builds the longer you wait, and you screamed, "I'm scared, but that doesn't mean I stop."
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
Because here's what happens. I'm standing at this ladder. I have a toolkit that I built before I went to Everest because I knew I'd have a scary moment. I just didn't know when that scary moment would be. So I had a picture of my kids that I pulled out, and I'm like, my kids would think I'm crazy. I don't need to do this. I wrote myself a letter. So when I got into a hard part, I could remind myself of my why and who I was.
Hmm.
I was reading that letter, and
Wow.
I'm like, I wrote that in my living room in pajamas. Like, what's that? That doesn't even count. I had a letter from my mom. I had a playlist of like songs that got me in like the hype mode. I even brought like orange essential oils so that it would remind me of making orange juice with my grandma. Right. So, like, just these things to interrupt wherever your brain is going. And none of those things were working. And so I gave myself like a little timeout in the corner, and I realized like it was just getting bigger and worse. I'm like, the
Hmm.
only thing that's going to stop this is taking a step. And so I was so afraid that I literally stood on the ladder, and I'm like, "Step, step!" Like I'm like yelling
Just
at it, right? Like
screaming.
screaming at it, like, "Screw you, step!" Right? And so I'm like, just because I had to scream it so that it would like fog my brain up and not let another thought sink in. So I needed to
Mm,
like block any other thing from coming in. So I'm like, if I'm talking and hearing myself, nobody else has room to like latch on, no other thought. And by the time I did like 3 or 4 of these and I'm like, "Step!" like yelling, my team on the other side started yelling it with me.
uh,
And so now we're all yelling like, "Step, step, step." And you just did it. Like you got out of your own head, you put your body into motion and you took the step. And I was shaking, I was crying, I was angry, I was mad. I got to the other side and we celebrated like it was Christmas and the 4th of July in one, right?
combined.
Combined, because the reality is that you have these feelings and they show up and you need to train your body what to do with them.
Yeah.
And so I needed to tell my body, like, we're celebrating this, like we did this, we metabolized this, we're good. So when that feeling comes up again, your body's like, oh wait, we did this, we're good, we got this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. In your post, this was actually one of my favorite posts I've ever seen on LinkedIn. It was so powerful. Yeah, you talk about how you cried when you made it to the other side, and not from relief, but from pride. And this is where it gets powerful. The moment, because that moment gave me something I use now every time fear shows up in work, life, or leadership. Before the decision, before the pitch, before the change, fear screams loudest right before the step.
It does.
Isn't that the
It's
truth?
such the truth.
And then you say, but once you move, it shrinks.
Yeah.
Not because it's gone. And I think this is where it got just like hit me. The fear doesn't disappear. It's not because it's gone, but because you took the step.
Yeah.
You don't need to be braver. You just need to move first.
Yep.
Wow. And with counterfeit emotions, every one of the counterfeit emotions is based in fear and control.
Mm-hmm.
Every single one. And when I read that, that resonated so deeply that how do you overcome fear? You scream loud so your brain can't do anything else, and you take the step.
Yeah.
The fear doesn't go away,
It does it.
but the power comes in the step. The power comes in moving forward,
Yeah.
and that progression, that striving, that overcoming,
Yeah.
so powerful.
No, it is. And you realize Like your bodies are designed to have emotion. That doesn't mean you need to listen to them.
Mm,
Right? You can respect it. Like I always think when I talk to my kids about it, I'm like, hey, fear's going to show up. It doesn't need to drive the car. So can you put it in the back seat and you continue to go forward because you get to control what you do with it?
yeah. Yeah. And studies show, I believe it was Stanford that did a study on the duration of an emotion.
Mm-hmm.
And the duration of an emotion is on average 90 seconds. And then at the end of the 90 seconds is what's called the refractory period, where you can actually decide, okay, I've had this emotion, let's say it's fear, and you're standing at the ladder, there's an abyss, like a 2,000-foot abyss that you have to go across. Fear is there, but then after that 90 seconds, you get to decide, what am I going to do with this fear? And the trouble that most people have is that instead of instead of letting fear be just a messenger, or any emotion just be a messenger, they turn that messenger into a dictator and say, oh, I have to believe
Right.
fear,
Right.
I have to believe this emotion, positive or negative, I have to believe this is who I am. And we are not our emotions.
We're not.
We're not even our thoughts.
Right.
We are so much more.
Yeah.
And you're living proof.
Yes. Yes.
You are
Yes.
living proof
Yes.
that fear doesn't have to be obeyed.
It doesn't have to be obeyed, but you do have to, I think, respect it. And
Yeah.
you have to realize, like, hey, this is showing up to keep me alive.
Yeah.
And so I respect that, but I also don't have to take that as a sentencing or as the only truth or whatever, because your body's always trying to keep you safe. And one of the things I noticed, it was interesting when I was training for Mount Kenya, like I had to go to the climbing gym every day.
Mm.
If I took a day off, it took me 3 days to get back to where I last was.
Mentally and
Mentally.
emotionally.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. Like, so I was like, oh my gosh. So, but when I went to climb Mount Kenya, I went every single day until I went. And now, like, I'm better. If I had to go climb today, I haven't climbed in a while. I would have the fear show up, but I can get rid of it faster.
Mm.
But it doesn't mean it's gone. Like if you don't push against it, it will push against you. That's this constant lean that you either go into it or it goes into you.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's one thing that's fascinating about the direction. So
Yeah.
there's four criteria for any authentic versus counterfeit emotion. The first is the connection. Does this emotion connect me? Connect me to myself, connect me to others, connect me to God, connect me to truth. The second is direction.
Mm.
And all the authentic emotions take us forward or upward. In your
Yep.
case,
Upward.
definitely upward, or bring us together. But what was fascinating when I did the research on this is that I found there was only one direction for all the counterfeits. And you just described it perfectly, is that it comes back to itself.
Mm-hmm.
It's a loop.
Mm-hmm.
It's this circle that fear creates more fear. It fuels fear.
Oh yeah.
Anxiety just
Well, it's
breeds
sticky,
anxiety.
right? So like all of a sudden you have this feeling of fear and it's trying to grab more reasons that you should feel that thing.
It starts supporting
Yeah,
itself.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, look at, and this is why you should be scared, and this is why you be scared. And you have to be like, yeah, I just have to really stay on top of it and be like, okay, you're gonna stay here, contained in this little thing. Nothing's gonna stick to you, and you're not adding to your story, but it likes to try to add to its story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. So what was the order? Actually, we
Yeah, so we did
made it through
Ojos first, and then Mount
Ojos,
Kenya was next.
Kenya,
Then I went to Everest. Then
Everest.
I went to K2 for the first attempt. So
Oh,
K2 took me 2 attempts.
wow.
Yeah,
You went back.
I had to go back, and that was the worst part,
Wow.
right? Is we were a day from the summit, and a teammate of mine passed away in an avalanche.
Oh no.
It was horrible. And you like sat on that mountain, and it was this big debate for me. I mean, I wish I could say that it wasn't, but it was because I had the opportunity to continue to climb or I had the opportunity to go down. And I kept thinking, I'm like, okay, my friend that passed away, would they want me to climb? I think they would have wanted me to climb. I was that close. Like we all knew when you're at base camp, you're signing papers and you're saying, like, if I die in the climb, this is what I want you to do with my body or whatever. Like you have to do that. And then I'm like, but how does that perceived? Because perception is reality.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, if I climb and my teammate died, that means I'm putting peaks over people.
Mm.
And that's not a person I am. I'm a person that puts people over peaks. And so I sat with myself. I'm like, I'm going down. I'm going to take care of my team. I'm going to help with whatever we need to do, and I'll come back another year. And that was a hard decision.
Wow.
But I think we really have to be clear on what our values are and what we want to be known as. Because when we climb our mountains, whatever that is, build the business, build the family, climb a physical mountain, it's all a mountain. You have to remember, like, what's the legacy I'm leaving? And so for me, I was like, I need to demonstrate that we always put people first,
Mm.
and the mountain will always be there. Of course, when I got back into the United States, I'm like, girl, you got to go back to that place. It was crazy. Like, why are you going back? And the odds are against you, because now I'm climbing a mountain for the second time that takes 25% of your like people's lives. And so it was this big wrestling match of what I should have done. And I'm always looking for validation, which I think a lot of us are. And I remember training to go back to K2. And while I was training, I'm like, okay, well, if I get my body physically there, eventually my mental will catch up. Sometimes we have to get mentally there and
Mm.
then our physical will catch up, but
Yeah.
sometimes it's vice versa. And nothing was working, and it was about time to leave. And I just remember, like, I just have to grin and bear it and deal with it. And a couple weeks before I left, I got a phone call from somebody I met the year before. They're like, hey, I've been training like you said, but I don't have the resources to climb. Like, can you help me? I'm like, of course I can help you. And so I'm like, thank you, God, for giving me a reason outside of myself to go
Mhm.
back, because that's exactly what I needed. And so my second attempt of K2 happened on July 22 of 2022. Became the third American female to stand on top of K2. And that person that called me was a Pakistani female. She became the
Oh,
first
wow.
Pakistani female to stand on top of K2,
Oh, wow.
which was like the coolest thing to be a part of, right? Because I have twin daughters and I know how important it is for them to see people that look like them in crazy environments, because that plants that seed of curiosity, and curiosity is the birthplace of possibility.
Mm.
And so I just knew, I'm like, man, I know I did the right thing, because look what happened from me doing the right thing,
Yeah.
right? But not easy.
Yeah.
Not easy.
Oh, I can't even imagine to
Yeah.
lose one of your teammates and then have to go back
And have to go
to the
back.
place you lost that
Yes,
teammate.
and all those memories that come flooding back. And, you know, Pakistan's a beautiful country. It's not a super easy country to navigate as a female.
Yeah.
And so there just was things I'm like, why do I have to do this again? Like,
Did
why?
you have to do the full head covering and
Yeah,
um
I mean, you just didn't go in the market. Like, you just didn't go out. It was better for me to not be out in public,
mm,
because it didn't just put me at risk, it put people that I was with at risk.
mm,
And so you just realize, like, this is not the place to do that. And so I'm going to stay in hiding away from things, because that keeps more people safe.
yeah. And say that one more time. You said curiosity is the birthplace
Of possibility.
of possibility.
Yeah.
In all the list of the 42 dyads of authentic and counterfeit emotions, curiosity is one of my favorites.
It's my favorite.
It's one of the most transcendent emotions
Yes.
that we can experience
Yeah.
is the curiosity of what's possible.
Well, it just takes away things from being right and wrong.
Yeah.
Right? It's like, oh, I'm just curious. I want to know. I want to feel. I want to see. I want to understand. And you just give yourself so much space to explore and experience.
Hmm.
And I just think yeah, it's my favorite emotion. I'm pretty sure it is. I'm like, I'm a curious kid.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So I
Yeah.
failed K2 the first time, which then after that failure, my coach and I were talking. We're like, we need a win,
Yeah.
because mountains can only be climbed during certain seasons.
Yeah.
And so we didn't want to sit on that negative experience for too long and just like bathe in it. So we were like, okay, where can I get a win? Where can I get a win on my list? And randomly, Russia opened. So this is September of 2021.
Oh,
And
wow.
we got this permit. And the crazy thing about climbing in Russia is that you need a permit from Georgia and from Russia, because the mountain is in both territories. And so both permits came in and we flew over there. However, I flew from Salt Lake City to Amsterdam, and I was supposed to go from Amsterdam to Moscow. And I got there with enough time, and I went up to check the gate, like, is everything good? They're like, yeah, it's fine. I'm like, okay, I'm going to go take a nap. So I took a nap. I came back. I went to board the plane, and they're like, oh, we're sorry. This is a repatriation flight only. You know, this is like post COVID times where not everybody's allowing you to fly in.
Mm.
I'm like, well, I was allowed to book this flight. So what happened? And they said that if you are a US citizen at that time, you could only enter Russia from England, Istanbul, or Paris.
Oh, so the intermediate airport was the problem.
The intermediate airport was the problem.
Wow.
I'm like, okay. So then I went to like ticketing and like, okay, well, we can route you through Paris real quick and get you there. So I go through Paris, I get to Moscow, I land, and we're like waiting at the turntable. My luggage doesn't show up.
Oh no.
And then it doesn't show up and it doesn't show up. And they're like, okay, we think you lost your luggage. So the guide's with me. And the guide's like, okay, we either go rent gear and we climb because the weather window's now, or you can go home and you can come back next year. And Dick Tao is one of these technical climbs. Like I had ice axes and toe picks on my crampons that like went into the ice. It wasn't just crampons that you walk on ice with, right? It's
Mhm.
not glacier crampons. And I mean, I ordered 20 pairs of gloves, sent 19 pairs back because I'm like, okay, this gives me the warmth and dexterity I need to be able to perform on this mountain. So all that gear's gone.
Yeah, it's serious business. You can't
It's
you can't
serious.
just go to Walmart and pick up some stuff and
Right,
go.
right, right. And this is like post COVID. So nobody has gear because everybody that had gear sold it all because all of a sudden people had free time to go do things they didn't get to try.
Yeah.
So we go to this. I'm like, you know what? There's nothing on this mountain really online, especially in English. So I'm like, I'm just going to go and I'm going to learn as much as I can. And wherever we turn around, but I'm going to come back the next year prepared. Curiosity, right? Like that mindset allowed me to continue. So we go to the rental store. I'm renting gear. Like I have to roll up the sleeves on the jacket so it's not too long. I have to tie the backpack on my like shoulder so it doesn't fall off. Like nothing fits. And we're climbing and we're climbing and climbing. And like we're like literally a couple hours from the summit. And the guide said, we're turning around. I'm like, no, we're not. He's like, yeah. He goes, this electrical storm's going to pick up. I'm like, let's just start going faster and get this done. Like we are so close.
And how high is that one?
I don't even remember. Isn't that terrible? Like you do so
see,
many of them. You look it up while I finish talking.
Yeah.
And
I'll
so
look
like
it up.
I'm like climbing, we get to the top and then the guide is like, we need to get down. We start going down and my back starts turning on fire. And I can't figure out why I'm on fire. I'm like, I'm on fire. Why am I on fire? Why am I on fire? And then the guide pulls out my ice axe. He's like, it connected to electricity. So we had to break the connection. It happened 2 more times. And so like in certain parts of this mountain, we're like crawling on our bellies so that we can try to not be in the path of electricity and be a lower point on the mountain than other points. I'm like, what? Anyways, we get done with this mountain.
Army crawling.
Army crawling,
up
like
the
on my
mountain.
belly on the highest point in Europe. I'm like, this is like, you can't even make this stuff up. We get back to the airport and my bags are sitting there waiting for me perfectly, right? And
so you made it to the summit.
we made it to the
You
summit by
did
like,
it.
who would have thought? Didn't even think it was in the realm of possibility. We make it to the summit. I get home. 6 months later, Russia closes completely. Like it's still kind of a bugger to get into that country right now.
Like right now, you couldn't do it.
I mean, it would be really, really hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
I know. So it's crazy. So like, you know, you have this idea of what it's going to look like and you have to have that space for it to look entirely different.
Yeah.
Yeah. How
Wow.
high was Dick Tao? 17?
17,077.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought it was a lot of sevens.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm
Go
like,
back
it
to
did
your
not feel like a
sevens.
jackpot to me. I'll tell you that much. But yes. So then from Dick Tao, which felt awesome, we had this win again, right? So that kind of builds your momentum.
Yeah.
Then
And that would be a massive win. Like
it's a massive win.
doing it in that way, that's got to build confidence.
A lot of confidence. And the crazy thing is like a lot of people don't summit Dick Tao because it's in between two like seas. And so then you just get a ton of moisture, which gets a ton of snow, which causes a ton of avalanches and a lot of electrical storms.
Mm.
And so my guide has guided Dick Tao. He summited 1 in 7 times. You just don't summit that often. You just don't get the window.
No joke.
So I'm like, oh my gosh, thank goodness. Well, the next climb was in Antarctica. And Antarctica is a whole world of its own.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't even have words for it.
Yeah. This is crazy.
Yeah.
Just going to Antarctica by itself is an expedition.
It's an expedition just getting there. Like, so we have to fly in because where you're climbing mountains, you have to go inland. You're not on the coast. So you're not taking a ship in. And when you fly in, there's no control tower for that airplane. So the airplane needs to have perfect sun so it casts a shadow so it can gauge its depth so it knows how to land on the ice.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
I know, you're like, what? And then there's no helicopter rescues down there because helicopters can't operate in those cold temperatures.
Yeah.
You're at the South Pole, so your compass doesn't work because of the magnetic fields. Like, it's just all of it, right? And then you're down there and you don't really think about it until you're there, but there's no sound. There's no bugs. There's no cars. There's no, like, the only sound is like you as a human or wind. There's nothing else. There's no color. So you don't see red or purple or pink or anything. All you see is white, different shades of black stone, a blue sky, white clouds, and a yellow sun. That's all you see.
My imagination is going crazy right now.
Yeah.
This is
I mean, it's like
so
sensory
fascinating.
deprivation on so many levels. And like the crazy thing is you take this one airplane to go to this one spot, and then you take another airplane to go to another spot. So this airplane drops us off. It's me and 4 guides, because again, if something goes wrong, you guys are the rescue team and the climbing team. There's
Yeah.
nobody else coming. And that plane takes off. And you're like, I am 2 plane rides away in perfect weather of being rescued if something goes wrong. And we get there, and this mountain is so steep you can only put tents in one spot. And the tents that you put are kind of by the bottom. Like the first few hours you climb, and then you set up a tent. So your summit day prior to us summiting, like there was records of 24 hours, 36 hours, or whatever before you got back. So you're managing how cold it is, how many calories you're eating, how much weight you're carrying, how much water you're drinking, how are you moving up this mountain to make sure that you're staying hydrated, because there's no oxygen down there. There's no Sherpas, there's no nothing. And I mean, the North Face team failed the year before,
Wow.
right? The mountain had only been summited by 15 people
Ever until you got there.
until we got there.
15 people.
Yeah. And so you're looking at like
Ever.
handwritten notes, right? Like no one, like, because you can't take photos really because it's so cold. You bring your phone out, the battery's dead almost instantly. We were putting like heating pads on GoPros.
What are we talking? Like temperature wise?
I don't even know. I couldn't even tell you, because put it this way, I was colder there than I was on the top of the top of Everest.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember climbing Kilimanjaro when we started from base camp.
You're sweating.
On summit day. Well, no, it was -4 degrees.
On summit day.
On summit day. Yeah. -4 degrees is where we started at 15,000 feet. Then we got up to 19,000. So we started 36 degrees below freezing. So
Yeah.
I can't imagine what Antarctica was.
Oh, I mean,
Like,
it's
it was-
negative. Like it's where Celsius and Fahrenheit become the same. They don't even like differentiate the two anymore. So like you're negative 60s or whatever,
60.
and you're in like full on gear. You have everything on your face because you can't have skin exposed, because that exposed skin will get frostbite
Instantly.
and turn black and like fall off, which we were not looking for that with this face. So anyway, we summited, and here's the thing: we gave ourselves a 2-week window. The window came right away when we got there. And so all of a sudden we're done, and we're like, okay, we're going to have like 10 days to go climb these other mountains and ski, because we brought our skis because you could move in certain parts faster than if you hiked. And it makes it a little bit safer on terrain because you're spreading that weight across the ski instead of just
yeah.
a boot.
Yeah.
And so that like will help a little bit. So, I mean, we were doing everything in our favor. We called down and we're like, hey, we're done. We're going to just hang here for a little bit. Come get us in 10 days. We're like, there's a storm coming. If we don't get you now, we might not be able to get you for 14 days.
Oh.
I'm like, you know what? We don't want to be here for 14 days. It's not that good at
Oh.
skiing. So we got picked up. But then I got stuck at Union Glacier for a couple weeks before they could get a plane down to get everybody off the glacier to go back to Chile, to go back to the United States.
Wow.
Yeah, it was crazy.
Wow.
But we got it. And so like that was the cool part about getting that one, is they only give 1 permit a year. And so the fact that we
Wait,
got that done
to the entire globe.
to the entire globe, they give
give
one
one
permit for
permit.
that climb a year. Believe me, I was like the whiny mouse making sure that permit went to this girl right here, because they
Wow.
had a list. And I know that I was the squeaky wheel, and they're like, we cannot handle that Jenn Drummond anymore. We're giving her this permit. And they did. Thank you, people. ALE is a fantastic company to work and climb with. And that gave me a head start. Now, like if other people, because now people are starting to hear about this record and they're wanting to get it instead of me. And that was like, okay, now I have at least 12 months before somebody can catch up and have an opportunity.
Yeah.
The mountain has not been summited since.
Wow.
Yeah.
By anyone.
By anybody.
Holy cow. That was
2022, January 1st, 2022. A Happy New Year gift.
So 3.5 years ago, still no one has summited.
No.
That's amazing.
It's crazy.
The coincidence, well, no, probably not coincidence, providence.
It's providence.
That happened.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
Wow.
So then I went to go climb Mount Logan, which is the highest point in North America, which I thought was going to be my freebie mountain because it's my home base.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I actually climbed Mount Townsend in Australia in between there too, but that one I mean, our ski resort, I live at the height of that mountain. So in Park City, I'm at 7,000 feet.
Uh-huh.
I think the height of the mountain in Australia is 7,000 feet.
It's-
Right. So it's like you
yeah.
land, you go
Yeah.
there and you hike.
7,247.
Yeah, yeah.
Yep.
So it's like that was a freebie, but it wasn't a freebie. Just to let you know, like when you think you have freebies, there might not be freebies. So what happened was, Australia's on the opposite side of the year of us. So I went in November thinking that was summer. Well, they had a big winter, so then not all the snow melted. And so on this mountain climb that was supposed to be a hike in tennis shoes, which is what I was wearing, all of a sudden had snow that I started post holing in
Ooh.
because it was like iced on the top and then rotting underneath. And so the last mile of this climb was the most strenuous mile I've ever had on any mountain because I literally would sink to my hip and you'd have to pull that straight up and then take a step out because if we pulled at an angle, it would keep your shoe.
Yeah.
Right. And so I'm climbing with a local guide from Australia because I'm like, I just want another person with me. You need a person to verify you got to the top and whatever else. So I called this guy and I'm like, will you do this with me? And he's like, are we really going to do this? I'm like, oh, we're doing this. I came here from the United States. We're doing this. I don't care if we have to swim up this thing.
At this point, you're so determined.
I'm so
You're
determined.
just-
And this guy's like, you are the craziest American I've ever met in my life. And the funny thing is like when we started this hike at the base, like there was these guys working on this trail and they heard me talking. And like, where are you from? I'm like, Utah. Where are you going to go climb? I'm like, I'm climbing Kosciuszko, which is the highest point in Australia. And like behind it is Townsend.
Oh, okay.
So we do the highest point because you're there. And then we go do the second highest point, and that's where we got into all this like terrible snow and like all the things. We came back down and the guides are still working on the trail. And they're like, Utah, what happened to you? I'm like, well, we actually went to Mount Townsend too. Why would you do that? It's terrible conditions. That must have taken you forever. I'm like, hence the reason why we're here right now. They're like, you're crazy. And the guide that was with me is like, yeah, I'm never climbing with an American again.
He's done.
I'm like, dude, you just stand here. You can see that I made it to the top from here. You don't have to go anymore. He's like, no, you hired me to go further. I'm going with you. And I felt so bad for that guy. He was so underprepared.
Oh, that's
Whatever,
hilarious.
we got it. And Mount Logan took me 2 tries.
It did.
Yeah, that's a beast of a mountain. Probably my
So-
hardest one.
Really?
Yeah.
Over K2.
Over K2.
Over Antarctica.
Over Antarctica. Yeah. So K2
No
was steep
joke.
and like challenging because of the terrain and stuff. Mount Logan was this physical challenge. It was so strenuous.
Tell us about that. What?
Yeah. So you
what-
get dropped off again on the glacier from a plane.
Okay.
And then the plane leaves. And Mount Logan is a long climb. And so we had skis again, but no one climbs it. So you're the only team out there. So if you forget something or you need something, you're not sure of something, you don't get to bounce ideas off of somebody else, right? It's only
just
you, right? And so every decision you're making, you really have to make sure there's enough slush for something to go wrong and still come back because no one's coming to get you. And the crazy thing about climbing Mount Logan is that the ground hasn't been tested. There's no trails, there's no path, there's no whatever. And so you take a ski pole and you put it in the ground to the left of you, to the center of you, and to the right of you, and you want it to bounce back. Because if it bounces back, you think it's strong enough to hold you to take one step. If it goes
wow.
in, all of a sudden you might be on a crevasse or a snow bridge that you can't see, and you could fall through. And so every step you take has to be measured and tested.
Every step.
Every step. And then as you're doing that, you put bamboo sticks along the way so you know what's been tested and what's not because you have to hug that bamboo line as tight as possible.
How
because
many sticks are you taking up
tons, hundreds.
there?
And they're so lightweight, thank God. And so anyway, so we're planning these. So we're taking these steps. You set up a tent. This is where you have to cut ice blocks out, make an igloo to protect your tent. Then you melt water to eat food. And then you go to bed. And the next day you carry your gear as much as you can that you don't need. And you carry it as high up the mountain as you can. Then you dig a hole that's 5 feet deep because if any less than 5 feet deep, like birds will get into it and destroy all your stuff. You bury your stuff and then you ski back down that exact line you came up. You go to bed. The next day you wake up, you pack up your tent, you go past where your gear went because you can go faster because that line's been tested. Now you start testing lines again. You set up your tent as far as you can set it up. You have to cut out ice bricks. You have to build another igloo. You have to melt water. You go to bed and then you ski back down to get your gear. You bring your gear to the tent and then the next day you go as far as the gear and you plant it and you just inchworm. up this mountain
Over and over again.
over and over again. And then what's interesting about it is you get to 16,000 feet. There's a mountain that's about 18,000 feet in the middle. And then you go back down to 16,000 feet before you go back up to 19,000, like 500 or something. That's the summit. And once you go over that 18,000 foot pass, helicopters can't go. So now you're again on your
'Cause the
own
air's
for
too thin.
rescue because it's too thin
Yeah.
and too far for them to go. And so the first year we attempted it, and it was just one of those brutal years. And it was so cold. We were burning way too much fuel, way too much energy, way too much everything. One of the guides got sick, and we're in the Parks Canada pulled everybody off the mountain. There was us and National Geographic doing ice drilling. And
Mm.
like, there's going to storm come in. It's going to be here for 2 weeks. It's going to be too cold. You won't be able to melt water, snow into water. We need to pull you guys all off. And so we got all pulled off. And of course, I'm like, well, I'm going back once we can go back on. And then they're like, no, it's too late in the season. It's not safe. So you have to wait an entire year to be able to go back. And so we waited an entire year. The next year, we actually had much better weather. And so we got it the second time.
Wow.
But yeah, I mean, none of these mountains were given. None of
No,
them.
no. So that was Logan.
That was Logan.
And
And so then when I was done with Logan, I'm like, okay, I've done them all. And so we reached out to Guinness World Records, and that's when we found out, guess what? There's a dispute on what's a continent. We need you to climb a couple more. I'm like, what? And like, sometimes people think Indonesia is a part of Australia instead of Asia. If Indonesia is a part of Australia, the second highest point is in Indonesia, not Australia. If it's a part of Asia, obviously K2 wins, the second highest mountain in the world.
Sure.
And then they're like, right now with all the things going on with Russia, we think you should climb a mountain in Europe if you exclude Russia because of the geopolitical stuff going on.
Okay.
I'm like, okay, because that's free. But it was in Switzerland. It was called Mount Rosa. Super fun climb. I'm like, I'm okay going to Switzerland. Like, that's fine. So I went to Switzerland and did that climb. And then I was actually waiting for Indonesia to open because Indonesia had been closed since about 2016, 2017 due to
Okay.
a civil war.
Oof.
Yeah, so it didn't even have anything to do with climbing, but the climbing happens near where the largest gold mine in the world is. There's a three-way tribal war going on who really gets to own those lands, and there's cannibalism and all this other kind of stuff. And so it's a whole nother ballgame that you didn't even know existed. Yeah. So their tribe believes that if they eat you, they get your qualities.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Whew.
So that was interesting.
Yeah.
So we weren't allowed to hike into the mountain. You had to take a helicopter in to go over those tribes. And once you got high enough on the mountain, you weren't at risk because they didn't have clothes to handle the cold weather. And so they thought that as a bad omen. So like you literally are, I mean, we had security at base camp in case they came in.
Wow.
Oh yeah.
You had armed guards.
Armed guards.
At base camp.
At base camp.
Wow.
Yeah.
And Indonesia, which is the mountain there?
It's called Sumantri.
Sumantri.
Yes. So Sumantri is the second highest point. Karsten Pyramid is the highest point.
Okay.
For a lot of these climbs, I was doing the highest point anyways to acclimatize so that I was like physically ready that way. And then all I had to worry about was like the strenuousness of the second highest peak.
Yeah.
So for me to have all the highest peaks left, I have 3 left. I have Denali for the United States. I have Mont Blanc, Europe, and I have Elbrus for Russia. And then I'll have all the highest too.
And so you've done the first and seconds.
And the first and seconds.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That is amazing. Will you also have a Guinness World Record for that?
For that too.
Yeah, I would imagine so. And in some ways, I would imagine the second highest summits are actually harder because of what you described on Logan.
Oh, they're all harder. Yeah.
Is because there aren't trails, there aren't mapped out routes, there aren't.
Well, there's not people.
There's
errors.
You can't say, "Hey, can I borrow this from you?" Or back and forth. There's nobody to rescue. It's solitary.
Yeah.
It's isolated. It is.
Yeah, and you're making decisions, right? Like you don't realize. Like nowadays, when you climb Everest, it is such a well-oiled machine. Someone's taking care of oxygen. Someone's taking care of food. Someone's taking care of tents. Somebody's taking care of those ladders. Somebody's taking care of weather reports. Somebody's taking care of ropes. Like you literally wake up, put on your gear, and you walk. Everything else is being taken care of. When you're on Mount Logan, you're pulling weather reports from different places. You're like, what one's accurate? What one do we want to follow? Hey, is this do we go this way? And what happens is, this from flying airplanes. When you're at a certain altitude, it might be perfect. You go 2,000 feet higher and
Oh,
all of a
yeah.
sudden you're in turbulence
Oh,
because
yeah.
it's not perfect. And you don't really know that because they're not giving you weather reports at every single altitude.
Mhm.
Right? So you're looking at it and be like, how fast are those clouds moving? Does that mean it's moving really windy so that even though it's nice right here, it's not nice there? And so if it's windy there, how much faster am I losing temperature and gear and stuff? So I know how to calculate how much I should eat before I get to that point so I don't go backwards.
Yeah.
I mean, there's
Yeah.
so much that
That
goes on.
that just happens right here. Like, we're doing Timp on Saturday,
Yeah.
and you can be at the base of Timp, and it will
Hot.
be hot, beautiful weather. You get to the top, and it is frigid,
You're like, I
and
need gloves.
clouds are rolling, literally rolling over the peak,
Yeah.
and it's
It
so crazy because every elevation
has its own
is
little story.
its own ecosystem. Yeah,
Hmm.
that's amazing.
Yeah. So,
It's
anyways, when I got the final one done, it became this full circle moment because Guinness said, "Hey, we're going to put this record in the book." And not all the records go in the book, I guess. I didn't know
Mhm.
all this. And so they're like, "Hey, that book's going to print out in August of 2026 and your record will be in there." And I just remember thinking, full circle moment. Like the fact that I wanted to be in the book to be a cool mom and then it being in the book, like how awesome is that?
That is pretty amazing.
Yeah, it was pretty
Uh,
cool.
so how much of your life has been in a tent on a mountain?
A lot
Like
more than I ever anticipated.
like, are we
But, like,
talking
yeah, we're talking quite a bit, but I'll be honest, some of these expeditions do take 8 weeks to do.
8
I didn't
weeks?
have 8 weeks to give. And so I got in touch with a company called Hypoxico, which makes a tent that mimics the lack of oxygen that you can sleep in your own
Oh,
house,
yeah.
right? So
Mhm.
I felt like I was sleeping in a fish tank in my home, but it allowed me to take an 8-week expedition on Everest into 3.
Oh, wow.
Right? Or it
Is
allowed me to go to, Mount Tyree if we didn't have all the weather delays. I mean, I was acclimatized for that right away. So if everything lined up perfectly, I could have been in and out of there in a week.
wow.
So for me, that really was what
So
allowed this to be a reality because I had the cheat code of acclimatizing at home.
you're doing the life hack
I was
of
doing the life hack.
getting acclimatized,
Yeah, yeah,
making
yeah.
sure
So there
that
was a lot of days slept in a tent in my bedroom, but actually on the side of the mountain, way less than what could have been.
that's incredible. I love that you figured out how to put the cheat code in and get up there so much
I'm telling you,
faster.
you have to put the cheat codes in because otherwise it gets really hard.
Yeah.
It's funny because I think fear shows up in excuses. And
Mm,
so for me, one of my excuses was like I can't be gone that long. So I
mm,
can't take on this quest. And instead of accepting that as truth, right? I like started questioning it and finding out different people that had access to different resources and it opened a door to eliminate that excuse. And so then that fear tried to show up in other ways because it gets creative, but you
yeah.
just have to keep going.
Ah, that is so fascinating. And congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations, you did it.
I did it.
You did it.
Woohoo!
And
We're
you're
alive.
and you're alive.
With all my
And
fingers and toes, right?
that's
Like
what
that's a
actually
big
that was
thing.
what one of my questions. Do you still have them all?
Yes.
Yeah, because I know people that have done Kilimanjaro that don't.
I
Like
know.
yeah,
It's a thing.
it's a thing.
No, I was adamant about that.
Yeah.
I'm coming home with all my digits
Yeah.
intact. Thank you very much.
That's so inspiring.
Thank
That's
you.
like as we're talking, my childhood dream of climbing Everest is coming back to me.
Uh-oh. I think we
I
have an
know.
Everest trip in our future.
I know. That's incredible.
Yeah.
Well, as you went through all that, like I can imagine the emotions that you were going through.
Emotions.
Like I'm sure at some point you had to have imposter syndrome. Like, what am I doing? I'm not a mountain climber. I've never even slept in a tent. And then the fear, but the also the excitement and the curiosity. And like as you're going through this, what would you say were some of the biggest emotions that you felt along the journey?
Oh man. I think that's the beauty of these journeys is you get exposure to every emotion, right? Frustration, anger, grief, sadness, happiness, um, like excitement. Like there's just so much. I tell people, when you get to when I got to the top of that last mountain, I took the deepest inhale I could take. And I just remember like breathing that air in, closing my eyes, and just feeling the whole world disappear. There wasn't a sun, there wasn't a mountain, there wasn't even a me. And that moment of awe is that moment where you feel the whole spectrum. Like you're sad that it's over and you're grateful for what you accomplished and you're feeling everything in between, so much so that your eyes start tearing up and watering because it's such a big emotion your body can't contain it. And then you start exhaling and you start breathing, and then all of a sudden, like, the sun returns and the mountain returns, and there's this separation again. And you, before you climb down the mountain, it's almost like you tell your soul, hey, I'm going to meet you again. And you throw it out into the world, and you realize, like, we become who we are on the climb.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so you feel all the emotions, which is why it's so magical, because being emotional is being human. And you're not trying to justify one away or saying it's wrong or whatever else like that. You're like, this is what I feel, and I can still take a step. And this is what I feel, and I can still take a step.
So beautiful.
Yeah.
That's so beautiful.
It's fun. It's such an honor. Like, life is such a gift.
It is, isn't it?
It is.
It's such a gift.
It is. And like, everything's temporary. The great's temporary. The terrible's temporary. Like, it's all temporary. And you just realize, like, my job is to just keep moving.
Yeah. Yeah. Just keep taking those steps.
Yeah.
On Kilimanjaro, they have a saying, pole pole.
Pole, pole, slowly, slowly.
Pole pole to the top.
Yes.
And it's just about taking one more step.
And not, like, let's be honest, like, the best part about climbing Kilimanjaro is the enthusiasm from the guides.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I have never
yeah.
been around a more enthusiastic crowd of humans, and that enthusiasm is contagious.
Do they do the morning dancing
Of
and
course,
singing?
they sing and dance and laugh and cry, and like, they're so happy. And I'm like, you're climbing in Crocs. How are you happy?
You've got Converse on. How is this?
Yeah, there's no arch support in those. What is wrong? So, yeah.
Oh, that's so fun. That's so fun. So, I think about the journey and all of these mountains you've climbed, and the fact that you've done something that no one else has done. Like, this is incredible. You are one of a kind. And as you've gone through your journey, and as you've not just your journey of the physical mountains, but the emotional mountains in your life.
Yeah.
There's one emotion that can't be counterfeited, and that's peace.
Yeah.
And where does Jenn Drummond find peace?
Man, I try to find it in every moment. I think that's what the car accident taught me. I remember coming home from the car accident. I shouldn't have been alive. I got discharged the same day. I walk in the front door and I saw pizza on the counter. I saw kids arguing. I saw, like, chaos, right? And before, I would have been like, let's pick up the pizza. Let's stop fighting with your sibling. That's whatever. And I just looked at that moment. I thought, how beautiful. How amazing is this moment right now? Because these two kids are fighting because they care so much about their opinion and their sibling that they want them to feel the same way. That's not a negative. That's actually a beautiful, peaceful moment when you can look at it from that. And so for me, it made me realize peace is always a lens we have available to us if we're willing to look through it.
Wow.
Yeah.
So how do you look through it? How do you help people look through it? Because I fully agree.
Yeah.
I fully agree that peace and joy are choices.
Our choices.
That we get to tap into that transcendence and we get to experience that. So how do you...
So I think for me, it's like when you commit to doing something, right? So like, I committed to doing Everest, and there's a section of Everest that's really, really hard. And everybody's like, it's my least favorite section. I'm like, that's a choice. Like, that's a choice. It can be your favorite section. And so what has to happen for this to look peaceful, or for this to feel good, or for this to be whatever, and then do that thing. So I remember during this section of Everest, like, normally everybody just grins and bears it and goes 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. And what we decided to do is, like, whoever was leading the team at that point was supposed to sing songs, tell stories, tell jokes from their childhood, or entertain the rest of us. And then when they got tired, they go to the back of the line, and the next person responsible to do the same thing. If you ask anybody on my team their favorite section of Everest, it was that.
The one typically called the hardest.
The hardest, like everybody's least favorite section, was our favorite section because we changed the narrative and we allowed ourselves to have a different experience. So yes, something is going to trigger you, and your body or your memory or your whatever is going to be like, this is bad.
Yeah.
Okay. When you feel that way, and if you don't want to feel that emotion, then you get curious. What has to shift for that to be a different experience? And then how do you bring peace into that?
Yeah. Oh, that's so beautiful.
Thank
Thank you so much for sharing your story
well,
with
thank
us.
you for the opportunity. I really appreciate you.
Huge congratulations. That's
Thanks.
amazing. So, thank
Awesome.
you so much.
Yep.
And thank you for joining us this week on the Counterfeit Emotions journey, the journey to find that one emotion that can't be counterfeited, and that's peace. Until next week.